What's going on, ProGuides family? My name is Dan, back with another video. Today, we're going to be taking a step back to look at the age-old debate of the Classic versus the Ghost. If you're a longtime viewer, you might remember that we took a look at this topic in June, but with the recent changes coming to the Classic, we felt it was relevant to revisit it and see if our opinion had changed since the last time. But before we get into it, you know what time it is. It's time for our question of the day. Today's question is, what is your favorite pistol to use regardless of the price? I personally find the Frenzy to be pretty fun to use, but it never seems to work out for me when I use it. It's a fun weapon for sure though, as there's nothing really more satisfying than just strafing across someone's screen and just blasting them. Remember to leave your answer to the question of the day in the comments down below, and with that, let's dive into the video. Alright, first up, we gotta look at the stats of both these weapons. We'll start with the Ghost, as it hasn't really changed too much from the last time we saw it. Still costing only 500 credits and giving you one-shot potential against non-shielded opponents with a pretty impressive magazine size for a pistol of 15 rounds. Like most of the guns in Valorant, it doesn't have the best running accuracy, but if needed and at close range, you might be able to land a few shots. The Classic, on the other hand, has had a few changes and bug fixes since the last time we looked at it. First up is that there was a bug with the running inaccuracy on the alt fire, making it much more inaccurate while running than intended. They also fixed a bug that might have had something to do with you getting jumping one-tapped on split that one time. Apparently, the Classic alt fire had no jumping inaccuracy. The running spread was also reduced as part of the bug fixing measures. The jumping spread moved from 1.9 to 2.3, which is part of the bug fix we talked about earlier. Walking spread was also increased from 1.9 to 1.95, making it slightly worse while walking. To cap it all off, Riot added a 10% bonus to accuracy while crouching and stationary to reward all you good people out there who are using your Classic honorably instead of jumping around corners like their 27-0 jet. It's not your fault, we know. All the other stats have stayed the same since the last time we discussed them. It still requires at least 2 headshots to kill even an unshielded opponent at close ranges, but still does fairly well with 12 shots per magazine and a fire rate to tie with the Ghost. With a few nerfs coming to the Classic overall, since the bonus to standing doesn't feel as impactful to the hits due to its accuracy and alt fire. Granted, it was more of a bug, and this is how the Classic was supposed to feel anyways, but we still want to see what happens when we take a 500 credit weapon and test it against something that costs nothing. When it comes to a buy round, what pistol you select can largely depend on what type of primary weapon you're carrying. With a Vandal or Phantom, more often than not, you're probably not even going to spend the extra money on a pistol, and when using a more specialist weapon like the Operator or Odin, the Ghost is definitely a popular option. However, just because the Classic is free doesn't mean it can't hold its own against a pricier option. With the Ghost requiring 2 headshots against shields and the added fact that you have to go out of your way to spend the extra 500 credits on the weapon, the Ghost can sometimes be a bit of a pain compared to the reasonably sized magazine and equal fire rate of the free Classic. Of course, the recent changes to accuracy for the Classic hurts it a bit, but at least on full buy rounds, it isn't that big of a deal when you consider that these guns will most likely be used to finish off opponents who are already pretty low on health. If you're forced to use one or the other to actually kill a fully shielded opponent, the Ghost will definitely give you a better chance, but only slightly. Since the guns have the same fire speed, it just comes down to just needing to land 1 or 2 less shots, but it will still be difficult to land any when dealing with an actual weapon like a rifle or SMG. On a half buy round, you're hopefully trying to save your money and most likely opted for an SMG or shotgun. If you do have a primary weapon, then you really don't need to be worrying about having a pistol backup, as none of the pistols are really worth the extra cost when you need a rifle and armor for the next round. If you're trying to save for an op in the next round, then just buying an upgraded pistol like the Ghost would make sense to increase your own firepower to help your team. At the same time, if you're trying to save for an op, sometimes it might be better to just buy some abilities instead and try to pick a gun up off the ground. Buying a Ghost or sticking with the Classic on half buy rounds can really come down to personal preference and how you want to approach the next few rounds. If you're really stuck between the two, most of the time it's better to play it safe and actually keep the Classic so that way you have more money for the next few rounds, which will help open up more options for you and your team to strike back and win a few extra rounds. Every dollar counts in Valorant, so a big part of choosing between the two guns is how effective they are for the cost, and I have to say, it's hard to beat free, especially when it shares some stats with the more expensive weapon. Save rounds can be a bit tricky depending on the team's economic status, so there's a bit of planning that needs to go into it, seeing what is the better choice. If you're part of a team that is pretty poor on a save round, it's almost always better to opt for the Classic and save that extra 500 credits. There will be times when you or your teammates have saved up a bit of money and can afford to spend some on a save round. If you're sure that you can full buy the next round, or if you're planning to run an eco strat, bringing the Ghost with its couple extra bullets and superior damage could be the tipping point to open up a round for your team that you might otherwise have lost. I have to stress again though, that while spending that 500 credits may give you a slightly better chance at winning the round, it's not enough to be forcing a Ghost when you don't have the money for one. Economic decisions should almost always be the forethought when planning what to buy, not just the chance of getting a kill with the gun. That's not to say that the Classic doesn't have its downsides either. It does have a pretty low damage output and requires you to be accurate enough to put 2 shots on target fast if you want to confirm a kill with it, or rely on good old-fashioned luck and spam the thing hoping to hit a few lucky shots. It also doesn't help that now the Classic's alt fire got nerfed, making it worse at close range, where before you could maneuver around someone with a rifle and potentially get a running or jumping kill with the right click. On pistol rounds, there are 2 common loadouts you are going to see: Ghost with abilities or Classic with light shields and abilities. Shoutouts to all you shorty players out there though, thanks for taking my head off inside Garage that one time, but these are going to be the only 2 loadouts we're going to compare right now. The thing about pistol round is that what you buy largely depends on what agent you're playing, more so than other rounds. In most rounds during the game, it's more important to consider where everyone is playing and what the objective for that round is, rather than what weapon you're best with. However, during pistol round, everyone is still trying to figure out what they're doing, so being able to leverage your own abilities better will lead to more success during what some people consider the most important round in the game. If you're playing a faster agile agent like Jet or Raze, it's important to ask yourself what is more important, the increased firepower of a Ghost or the added protection of some shields. Depending on your playstyle and what you're comfortable with will change what you choose to pick up. But we here at ProGuides personally think that if you're solo queuing and don't think your team will be paying attention, pick up the Ghost for some extra power. If you're in a 3 to 5 stack or your team has somewhat okay communication, maybe sticking with the Classic and going for the increased survivability with some shields and extra abilities might be worth the trade-off to better support your team and win the round through teamwork, which in the long run will end up being more reliable than individual plays. If you're looking to get some more help with figuring out what weapon is best for your playstyle, then be sure to check out ProGuides.com, where we offer beginner, intermediate, and advanced coaching for all your needs. Choose from any one of our amazing coaches to help you reach the rank you deserve. Alright, we tried to go through each of the situations where we think that it might be relevant to choose a pistol, but we have some general thoughts about the power level between the Ghost and Classic. As it stands currently, even with the recent nerfs to the Classic, the fact that the weapon is free and acts as a slightly worse option than something that costs 500 credits, that's at least 2 abilities and at most close to 5 abilities worth of credits that you're spending for a comparatively small increase in firepower. Sure, it's nice to have it be more accurate while spraying, and I would imagine that the reason that most of the community thinks that the Ghost is such a great weapon is because when they spam it, they have more success than with the Classic. It's true, the Classic does require a bit more of a patient trigger finger, but in my eyes, that is a small price to pay when the alternative is missing out on half of my abilities for a weapon I might not even use on a buy round, or over half of my budget on a pistol round. This isn't to say that the Ghost doesn't have a place in the game. If you have a lot of extra credits on a buy round, or you simply just want to flex on the enemies, having a secondary Ghost can help give you that slight boost in firepower if you need it. Also, when paired with an operator, the 2 can become a very deadly combo, especially if the Ghost is used to finish off an opponent who took an op shot through a wall or in the leg and is already at pretty low health. If you're just looking for an option that will do the job, look no further than the Classic. If you're looking for something a bit more stylish and have the economy to back it up, there's a shiny new Ghost with your name on it just waiting. Like all things in Valorant, at the end of the day, it comes down to your personal preference. If you like and are good at playing duelists, that doesn't mean that you should have to switch to a controller agent just because they're better overall than duelists. It just means that you enjoy playing a more specialized class and are willing to deal with the challenges that come with playing a bit more limited class. The same principle can be applied to the Ghost and Classic here. If you find that you suck with the Classic, but the Ghost is getting you multi-kills, then better to stick with the beast you know, at least for now. Use this guide as just that, a guide to some of the decisions you might want to consider and make as you go about choosing a pistol. Well, everyone, unfortunately, that is all we have for you today. If you liked the video, then be sure to drop a like, and while you're down there, maybe even consider subscribing. We put out new videos like this one at least once a day, and you definitely don't want to miss one. So if you do subscribe, be sure to ring the notification bell and join our Discord to get notified when a video goes live. All links are down in the description below, including a link to our website and Discord. Remember to stay safe out there, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.